Hey YouTube, James from the Wyvern Watch here. I'm here with my Exosister deck profile once again. So after I keep saying in my videos, of course, that I get comments on ways I can improve my decks. This being sort of the one I tend to take to locals if I am going to locals at the moment. I got chatting to a guy last time I was down there in Chester Games in Stockport, and he was talking about how really I should be adding certain cards, which we'll get to in a minute. And I didn't really see the point of view at the time, but I've been doing a bit of testing, and I have now decided to take the plunge and change my build a little bit, just to see if it does improve things. And like I say, I think it probably does. So thank you very much for the comments once again, and keep them coming. But this is my Exosister. It's about as good as I can get it. It's probably one of the decks I know the best, and I built it because I love the artwork. You know why I built it, because I've done this profile once or twice already. But I do love it, and obviously I had to max rarity it because you know, this is me we're talking about. So we have the 3 Starlight Marthas, absolutely stunning, of course, and it really did make the difference on the deck when, well, look at that, when this card came out. Up until this point, I was running Magistus build with my Exosisters, but obviously when Martha came, it was perfectly feasible to run the deck on its own. So, I mean, I'm not going to run through too much about what these cards actually do. I think, you know, most people are relatively common, you know, happy with it now. But obviously Martha allows to special summon herself from the hand, and also special summoning at the same time Ellis from the deck. But this is the only Exosister, of course, where you can trigger the effect to move a card from your graveyard in order to Xyz over the top of it. So really potent card, and you know, a very good addition to the deck. The only other monster that I've kept at 3 is, of course, the aforementioned Exosister Ellis, now in the Prismatic Secret Rare version. This card is super handy because obviously if you control another Exosister monster, you can special summon this card from your hand anyway. But a lot of the time Martha's going to be special summoning it from the deck, which does lock you into Exosister monsters, but it isn't the end of the world. It just means you can't use some of your extra deck, of course. You just have to be careful on which effects you've activated before you sort of start going into the Xyzes. So yeah, but obviously the rest of the Exorcisters all have the effect, whereas if the opponent's moved a card out of the graveyard, then you can go ahead and Xyz over the top of it. So like I said, the other Exosister monsters are all now one-offs. So we've got the 1 Sophia, the 1 Stella, and the 1 Irene. Really, it should be those 2 around there, shouldn't it? Because Irene and Sophia are twins, if you like. I like to call them twins. Stella's twins with Ellis. Ellis is also twins with Martha. And like I say, they have sort of their own little effects when they're both activating whilst in their presence. But really the only one we're sort of making maximum use out of is the Sophia, because if we control another Exosister monster, we can simply draw a card. And also if Irene's on the field, when we do that, we get an extra 800 life points, but more often than not, she's not. Irene has the same sort of effect, but you have to discard 1 Exosister card. Sorry, is it shuffle back? It might be shuffle back, sorry. 1 Exosister card in order to get the extra draw. And if obviously Sophia's on the field, you get 800 points. But that, of course, is the Collector's Rare, which I've actually got 3 of, because we did used to run 3 in the older build, but I can't get rid of them. I'm just going to hang on to them just in case Sophia comes back into fashion, shall we say. Okay, so these are the sort of main addition to the deck, and like I say, I was reluctant to at one point, but of course we've gone for the spirits. So it's Aratama and Sakitama, so they obviously work hand in hand. The way I've sort of justified it by adding it to it is that, you know, these are the spirits that the Exosisters are coming to get rid of, basically. So that's the way I sort of justified it in my own head. I was trying to keep it as pure as possible. It's still not entirely not pure, if you like. But Aratama, of course, it cannot be special summoned. Once per turn, you can join the end phase. If this card is normal summon, you can flip face up, you can return it to your hand. But that won't be happening because you're going to be using it as material. But when this card is normal summoned or flip face up, you can add one spirit monster from your deck to your hand, which of course you then go and find Sakitama, which obviously goes back to your hand at the end of the turn. You can reveal this card in your hand immediately after this effect resolves. Normal summon one spirit monster from your hand. Yeah, and then obviously we're using the extra normal summon to normal summon Sakitama out, and then we're going into one of the XEs, ordinarily probably Caspatal, in order to get the extra search. So a simple Aratama can actually go all the way up into a Magnifica with one spell trap behind them as well. So that's why I was asked to include it in the deck, shall we say. These haven't shifted, dimension shifters, so they're there, and obviously when you come up against it, it's not very nice. However, in this deck, even under shifter, not a single, well, there is, I think there's one interchange with cards where it might impact on it, but Dimension Shifter is a great card, and for this deck an absolute must, really, because obviously you can side it straight out if there's a deck that doesn't really bother about it either, but this deck completely doesn't worry about it. So I've still got those at 3. So that's it for the monster count. We're into spells. So the other thing that stayed static, of course, is the Exosister packs. Too good not to play. Quick play spell, of course, paying 800, whatever. Add an Exosister card from deck to hand. But obviously if you're using it, so if you added a monster by this effect, you can special summon it from the extra deck. If the other Exosister monster mentioned on it, i.e. the twin, if you like, is in the field or the graveyard, you can special summon it as well. So again, it can be easily utilised. The only other 3 of now is Dark Ruler No More. I think everyone's fairly familiar with this card now, but it's too good just to use, obviously, if you go in second and just knock out the opponent's field while you crack on with doing whatever you need to do. So a couple of 2-ofs. I've still gone for 2 Pot of Prosperity. I think last time I did the profile, they were extras. Were they extras or desires? They were desires, weren't they? Sorry, yeah. And I said at the time we were going to move them to prosperities. I think I said that at the time they were in the post. But they arrived, and these are the Megatin 22 ones. I've actually got a couple of quarter century ones now as well, so I might switch out those for the quarter century ones. But they're in there anyway. Another addition to the deck is Triple Tactics Thrust, which you'll be more than familiar with, I'm sure. I'm not that familiar with it, to be honest with you, but you know, I've put those in, and then you know, it's just having a couple of options in there, you know, to make use of it. So I'll show you what I've got there. But there's 2 Thrust, and then obviously got the 1 Triple Tactics Talents, which is proving very handy now. Sorry, I'll just get the 1-offs out while I'm talking away. But yeah, the Triple Tactics Talents is one of the targets, of course. There are others are obviously going to be trap cards in here, so I'll show you what I've got in there in a minute. But we know what that one does. We know what Called by the Grave does, of course, getting its 25th century upgrade there, of course. And I've still stuck with the 1 Arment because people just still don't expect that card. So I've just stuck with it. And again, just to use another Exosister card, I just like to try and use all the cards as I can, as I mentioned a number of times before. Returnia is still at 2. 1 Yavardis now. So previously I had 3 Vardis and still 2 Returnia. So I've stuck with the Returnia because ending on Magnifica and 1 Returnia is a great way to start for Exosisters. So I just want to make sure I can do it. And Vardis is very, very easily searchable, and if you get it off once, great, but the chances are you're not going to get it off twice because we've used the Alice's in the deck and or one of the 1-offs, and I found myself having an extra Vardis in my hand that I actually know I can't use because the pair, they obviously need to be twins when you special summon them. The pair isn't available from the deck, so I just decided to go with the one now. And lastly, but not leastly, of course, is the 3 infinite impermanents and 3 evenly matched. So these haven't changed from the last build, in fact. So, and we all know what they do. So I'm not gonna run through those as well. But they're still there, and I can't see them moving anytime soon, to be honest with you. So that is the deck. That is a 40 card deck. The only change I am toying with doing is main decking the Harpy's Feather Duster again, but I suppose it'll depend on the format and what I think I'm going to go up against. At the moment it's in the side, which I'll show you towards the end of the video, so I'll try and speed up a bit, so I'm going to include the side deck. Extra deck has also taken a bit of a turn, so as before we've got 2 Exosister Magnifica, again in the splendid Starlight Rare there, of course. 2 Magnifica, 3 Michaelis in the Collector's Rare. I love how the black looks almost matte. So I'm trying to get the right, there it is there. So it looks almost matte when you get it in a certain light on the Collector's Rares. 3 Michaelis, 2 Caspatel in its recent ultra rare upgrade, 1 Jibrine now, it used to be 2, and 1 Asophiel. So that's my Exosister lineup now. The 3 Michaelis is still a bit of a must, really. You're still using them pretty much once, if not twice, on a turn. But the others you can probably get away with just using the once. And I'll just try and, in fact, no, I'll just show you the others separately. So you got the Exosister monsters. So the backup ones, we've got 1 Gargaga Cowboy, 1 number 41 Baguska even, 1 Divine Arsenal Double Zeus, and now 1 Super Star Slayer Typhon Sky Crisis, which is a new addition to the deck. And just the 2 links now, so I've taken the plunge and gone for an SP Little Knight. Really attractive card this, actually. I think I might have to get another one. Really very pretty. And also 1 Lena the Light Charmer. As I said before, if I'm running a single attribute deck, which of course this is, I like to run one of the Charmers, and that wasn't in there before, so it now is. And that is my current extra deck. So for the first time, I'll show you this side deck as well, dead quick, so you understand where I'm coming from there. But we got 3 Nibiru's, which obviously are always handy. 3 Necrovalley, which I used to main deck whilst in the Tier Element format, so still find it devastating against some decks though. Another triple tactics talents, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster I mentioned before, and 1 Carpe Diem. It doesn't get sided in an awful lot, but it's still there if still feel appropriate. I've got 3 Dimensional Barrier, just stick them on the end there. Just move these up a little bit so you can get them all on. I'll just show you everything on screen. Oh, not very tidy, but you get the idea. Sorry, a bit of a perfectionist, aren't I? And then the last but not least is 3 Anti-Spell. Now these are all interchangeable depending on what you think you might be coming up against, of course. But I think, you know, they're pretty devastating against most decks. So, and the deck's good enough without it anyway. So I'll just try and take whatever I think might be used or might be useful. I think that's all you can do when side decking, really. But yeah, that is the end of the deck. Thank you very much indeed. Hopefully you enjoy this version of Exosisters. It's still one of my absolute all-time favourites. I love the artwork. I love the concept of how it works. It's how each of the Exosisters have got their sort of Xyz counterpart, and obviously Magnifica is a combination of 2, which is how you make the card, of course. So yeah, really like it, and it's right up my street. It's very similar to sort of Sky Strikers in the way that you're using one character, if you like, and then upgrading them, which is what Exosister tend to do, sort of they evolve into their Xyz format. But yeah, absolutely love it. Hope you guys do too. I managed to keep it down to 15 minutes. I thought this was going to go over 20, but I suppose I've not gone through all everything's effects there, have I? But again, keep the comments coming, guys. If you think there's something I'm missing, please do put in the comments. Keep the subscriptions coming up if you like my content and you like sort of looking at the maybe the upgraded cards or the way I like to build decks. Do subscribe, please. I'm trying to get to 200 subscribers at the moment, so it'd be really super helpful if you can. Other than that, thanks once again, and we'll see you next time.